Welcome to Self-Help Today. We're talking with psychologist RAFAEL Santandreu, who's also a best-selling author of the book Shake It Off, which has sold over 1 million copies. RAFAEL, tell us, how does it feel to have fans all over the world?
Fantastic. Mainly because helping people all over the world to discover something as fantastic as cognitive psychology is a wonderful thing. Think, Melissa, that I discovered myself cognitive psychology and changed completely my life. And I know that everyone who discovers this discovers the biggest treasure of their lives, because it changed your way of viewing things, viewing life, viewing problems, adversities, and your emotions as well. No? I received so many letters every week from people that tell me that how their lives have changed with cognitive psychology, and completely. And to me, this is a great pleasure.
So today we're talking about one of your favorite topics, which is Therobolitis. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, absolutely, Melissa. Therobolitis is a key concept, because Therobolitis is the mother of any emotional illness. Therobolitis is the tendency to tell yourself that any adversity, little or big, is terrible, is the end of the world. I cannot stand it. When you tell yourself these kind of things, your emotions are going to be similar. It's a very strong, exaggerate. I remember that many years ago, patients used to ask me, Rafael, what's wrong with me? Am I bipolar or depressive or anxious? And at the end, I end up telling them, what you have is Therobolitis. It's only this. Is this tendency to tell yourself this. The guilty of this, in this case, is your inner dialogue.
Okay, so in your psychology, what you're saying is that nothing bad ever happens. So your partner leaves you, it's no problem, you can just go dancing. Or if you get fired, well, no big deal. Is that right?
Not exactly, not exactly. In cognitive psychology, Melissa, we recognize that we have problems and adversities. But what happens is that we don't therobolize about them. We don't like them, but we will be happy somehow at the end of the day. This is the difference. When people are stressed out or depressive or neurotic in general, it's because they have the tendency to therobolize, to go to the end of the scale. And this is the problem. So we understand that bad things happen, but we don't feel that this is overwhelming. It's never overwhelming. Okay. That means that I will always be happy anyhow.
Rafael, in your book, you talk about the fact that there are people who believe that nothing is truly terrible. Can you explain?
Yes, of course. There are many people in the world that believe completely that there is nothing terrible, that nothing terrible can happen to them. For instance, Stephen Hawking, the scientist on a wheelchair. Do you remember?
Of course, yes.
Stephen Hawking couldn't move or couldn't speak even for the most part of his life. And he chose to believe that that was not terrible. Being paralyzed, completely paralyzed, wasn't terrible, because he could do many nice and fantastic things for himself and others. But the nicest thing is that every one of us can do the same. We can all of us can choose to think that way and believe and being convinced, completely convinced, that nothing, any adversity in the world is terrible. Because I will do like Stephen Hawking. I will find very nice things to do. If I am passionate about them, I will be happy.
You also say that there's one question we can ask ourselves if we start to terribilize. What is that question?
It's a key question. You can ask yourself, okay, an adversity has happened to me. For instance, my wife has left me, or I have lost my job, for instance. And I can ask myself, do I still have valuable things to do in my life for me and the others? And as long as I find those things, what has happened to me is not very important. I'll give you an example. If my wife has left me,
Okay.
I can ask myself, to what extent can I do? Can I study, learn things? I can do it. To what extent I cannot treat well my family in general?
Sure.
I can do it. And have a great relations with my family. I can do it. To which extent I can work on my spirituality? I can do it. And you will see that you can do everything, or most of the things. So the answer is that this adversity is very small. As long as you can do many good things for yourself and the others, this adversity is very small. This is the question.
Okay. Rafael, this philosophy of yours, or I should say cognitive psychology, because that's what it's called, is very nice, very positive, but I have to say that terrible things do happen in the world. The death of a child, for example.
Well, Melissa, before I said that some people, or many people in the world, choose not to terribilize ever in their lives. So in this case, that people don't terribilize either. So in my belief is that the death of a child, of a son, of a daughter, is not the end of the world. It's bad. It's very bad. I don't like it. But I can overcome it. I can overcome this adversity as any other if I choose to do it. If I don't tell myself this is horrible, this is the end of the world, I will not ever overcome it. And you might even, you may think, if you want to, that this child of mine has had a very nice life, short but nice. And for instance, if your child could see you from heaven, ask yourself, what would he want you to do with your life? To be sad the rest of your life and depressed? No, he would want you to be happy and enjoy the rest of your life. So all this reasoning can lead you to not to terribilize. And you will tell yourself, okay, that has been bad, but at the end of the day, I will be able to be happy, even if this thing happens to you.
Okay. I have to say, I really like that way of thinking, but I'm going to push back a little bit and say that the death of a child, for many people, it's impossible to get over because it's not the natural order of things. The natural order of things would be that parents pass away first before their children.
Well, that's what many people think, but I think that the strongest people and the happiest people in the world don't think that. They think they have a kind of ecological view of the world, and they think, and I do, that the death of a child is natural, because every death is natural. We don't understand the order of things, of the universe, of the laws of the universe. The human beings, we know very little. Our intelligence is very, very, very small, and we don't understand, but we have to respect it. And any death is natural, even the death of a child. If you make the effort of thinking like these people that we mentioned earlier, you will become like them.
Rafael, how would you respond to critics of this anti-complaining philosophy, or people who would say that they would accuse you of passive indifference or say that you're living in a fairy tale?
Cognitive psychology is also called rational psychology, because we try to be very rational all the time in our lives. We think that if you are very rational, you have rational emotions as well. And also, we think that if you have a problem, you have a problem. And the best thing to do is trying to solve it. But it's not the end of the world. That's the difference. Yeah, and then what happens is that at the end of the day, you don't have very strong negative emotions. You have light negative emotions. This is all you need in your life, light negative emotions. With respect to the idea that cognitive psychology can lead you to be passive, it's not true. It's not true at all.
Okay.
We know that when you become very rational, very strong, mentally strong, you get very light negative emotions. And then you want to change your life. You want to do things. You want to explore the world, to engage in new opportunities, adventures, and the like. So you don't become passive at all. What happens is that you are not worried about everything that can happen in your life, any adversity.
There's another term that you use often, which is needyitis. Can you explain what that is?
Yes. Melissa, you know that before I mentioned the concept Therobolitis, and I said that Therobolitis was the father of mental illness. Mm-hmm. So there is a mother as well, and the mother is Needyitis. Needyitis is the habit of telling yourself that you need many, many things to be happy. You need to be on shape, you need to have a very nice job, you need a wife, you need to have a very nice car, a lot of friends, to be an extrovert, sure. and millions of things. And if you fail only in one of those things, you're a complete failure. You're a disaster. We tell ourselves these kind of things. And it's a great error. It's a great mistake.
Sure.
Because the strongest people in the world are the ones that need less. It's just the opposite.
Okay. Rafael, at one point in your book, you say, don't worry about anything because a meteor will hit the Earth someday and end it all. And so there's no point. But I have to say, I find that a little bit worrying.
No, it's not, Melissa. Because you know what happens is that people worry about every little thing that happen in their lives. And the mistake is believing that everything is very important. Mm-hmm. Everything in their lives is very, very important. Even themselves are very important. And this is not true. And I like to say that one day a meteor will hit the world and will destroy everything with us inside. And that will be fine. You cannot tell the universe that this is an error, that cannot happen. No, it will. And then you can see that nothing is that important. Relax, calm down.